Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So yes, as Alessandra was saying, I am quite emotional being here. Not very used to this kind of speech and this kind of environment, because the first thing I'm going to say is, what is art good for? Am I close enough? So what is art good for in today's society? In a world dominated by function and by purpose, one wonders what art's use might be. And in fact, what is an artist doing at a conference about renewable energies, you might say? Because when I first met Alessandra, that's the first question that came to my mind. And but nonetheless, I'm here actually to present my participation to this wonderful project, the project of Arca di Noè, for which I created a sculpture during my month stay in the Cascina d'Arzena, which is where Neo Rurale lies. And as you can see, I generally avoid talking about my work or presenting my work. I find that rather distasteful and quite out of place. I much prefer to leave that task to somebody else, somebody more fitted. And besides, I put a lot of time and work into the sculptures I create that I feel it would be a shame if I didn't leave them the opportunity to express themselves. And so I decided that today I'm just going to tell the story of how this sculpture was created. So of a quite unexpected but fruitful collaboration, which happened between Neo Rurale, Enea, Ita Florence, and Inak and myself. And that led to the creation of, to transforming an ambitious idea into substantially a significant landmark. So at the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you some slides that depict the process that I followed to create this sculpture, which I hope will give you food for thought. So when I first met Alessandra, she explained to me how difficult it was to receive support over projects that regarded solar panels. Disinformation or simply lack of information had misled the public into thinking negatively about this technology and into having preconceptions about its use. And to her understanding, since the problem seemed correlated with communication, solutions or possible solutions could have been found within a cultural or artistic domain. And here I am. So to her intuition, by siding to projects, innovative projects such as the one here today, culturally significant events, one would or could create opportunities for the public to reconsider and rethink their opinions over the moral and ethical implications on which this technology is based. And I think it was for my dedication to topics such as the environment and a better usage of natural resources that I was asked for an opinion. I have just finished in June a sculpture in the Giardino Torrigiani, which effectively started as a sculpture, but became a sort of tool for the mitigation of climate. So it refreshes the air, it creates areas for the people, green areas for the people to stay together and everything. And so I believe this is what drew me here. And I think Alessandra was curious to see if ideas that somehow could contribute to a change of heart over the negative perception of this technology could come from the world of art. First idea that came to my mind was to create a sculpture park, open to the public, one that would connect the natural and the technological areas of Neo Rurale's land. To me, this was a way of showing this deeper connection between nature, art, and science that all followed the same principle, that they were created by making the best use of the already available resources on site. And so in order to create such a sculpture park, I devised an artist residence program in which participants are invited on site to develop their ideas and to create a work of art that at the end of the residence will permanently stay on the land. And the only guidelines for them to follow are the principles of upcycling, which is what I follow since 2007. Upcycling is to reuse discarded materials in such a way as to create a product of higher quality or value than the original. And surely transforming worthless material into works of art is a means to redefine the value of the available resources. But in my experience, it's much more than this, because moreover, it triggers a process of greater inventiveness and creative opportunities for the artists. So firstly, to use only what is available on site at a very low handling cost is a way to address the financial burden that too often limits the possibilities of research and expression for artists. Another restriction is the fact that in every creative process, artists are forced to use only the materials that they know or that they see. In my line of work, I always have to look at things as if for the first time. And actually, it's the material itself that most of the times points out to me what the best use to make of it. What is the best use to make of it? And the final thing is the fact that having to leave the comfort of your acquired skills and the practicality of using specific materials pushes one to develop new techniques and to learn how to use materials in a different way, in an unconventional way. And to me, just like in the work in Giardino Torrisani, it leads to many discoveries which turned out very practical and useful in my work. And so the work I'm here to present today, actually first, let me just say this, because from Pantaleo to Kiviu, many themes came out, and some of you might recognize at this point similarities between solutions found within an artistic context with the ones found within a scientific one. And somehow, but not surprisingly, everything leads to the same principles on which circular economy is based. And again, I find this very interesting, but not surprising. The work I'm here to present today was entirely made with discarded material found locally. It is the first sculpture of what will hopefully become the first upcycling sculpture park in Italy. And it depicts an Eurasian bittern. It's a tarabuso in Italian. It's a heron. And it's called Lord of the Marshes, how ornithologists like to refer to him. And I depicted him in his standing position. So he's standing on his legs with his beak pointing to the sky, which is his hunting position he holds motionlessly for hours. And actually in nature, the plumage and the peculiar pose make him close to invisible when he stands amongst the reeds that grow in wetlands. To me, this bird represents most of all the symbol of Giuseppe Natta's extraordinary work. For over 30 years, this visionary man has patiently restored the natural habitats of his land to the state they were in 1,000 years back. All of this in the hope of seeing its original wildlife presence restored. And for years, he could witness the return of his beloved species of birds, insects, and plants, learning gradually from nature and seeing the progressive benefits that could be obtained by a balanced ecosystem. And yet, one of his favorite herons The rarest of them all, the Eurasian bittern, had still to be seen at the Casinazza. It took most of those 30 years for the bird to finally return and eventually nest again in the restored wetlands, ultimate proof that he had succeeded in his commendable cause. So this is why I chose the Lord of the Marshes as a subject for my sculpture. It is a symbol of a lifelong dedication to the preservation of nature and my personal tribute to a man that has shown us all the most noble side of our species. Thank you very much.